Would everyone please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we gather this evening, this council asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. We thank you for this wonderful town that we live in and giving us the privilege to serve it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Call to order the October 3rd meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. I want to take just a minute here before we approve the minutes. I'm going to try. Yesterday, Mooresville lost one of the best friends they'll ever have. With a heavy heart that I have to announce that the passing of former town attorney Tim Kearns. No one person has done more for this town to make it a better place than Tim Kearns did in the past 50 years. I'm going to say maybe Samuel Moore had a little bit more to do with it. He guided countless councils, boards, commissions, employees of this town, and he made this town better. He's one of the brightest people I ever knew in my life. Tim was one of those guys that if you were his friend, if he liked you, you knew it. But he was also one of those very unique people that if he didn't like you, you never knew it. He treated you with the same compassion, the same understanding, and the same caring that he did anyone else. Timothy C. Kearns, and to this day I still believe that the C stands for Colonel, because that's what he always said when you asked him, what does the C stand for? He was one of the finest men this town ever knew. We all lost a friend. And that's all I have to say. I need approval for the minutes from our executive session.
Move to approve the minutes of the executive session.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Greg, Josh, 5-0. Any motion to either approve the minutes or amend from our previous meeting, our regular scheduled meeting on September 19th?
Make the motion we approve the previous minutes as written.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Josh, Greg, 5-0. Where was those sad puppy dog eyes? Someone, there you go. Elizabeth came up and asked if there was any chance that she could be moved to the top, because apparently HVAC systems and resolutions and voice quotes and public hearings are not something she's interested in.
Not very exciting.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. As an aside, I will let you know, Tom, that I happened to find out earlier today that Tim's visitation is in Zionsville on Saturday, the 7th, from 11 to 2. And I can send you that information if you need it.
Thank you.
So I'm here to talk about Victorian Christmas. We're getting closer to that time of year. We've turned in our street closure permit, kind of same thing that we do every year. Harrison Street, Clay Street, Citizens Bank, and then the alley on West Main. So I would ask that you approve the street closures for that Saturday. It's December 2nd from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then I have just a couple other things. Last year, for the first time, I think, well, the first time since I've been involved, we put some things, games and such, in the room downstairs. We'd like to use that room again this year. And then lastly, Victorian Christmas, this year we're looking at about $15,000 cost. So in years past, we've always raised money through sponsorships and through vendors. Here we had 60 vendors downtown, some vendors at Newbie. That was about $7,500 that we brought in for, last year it was $12,500 it cost. And then we had sponsorships of about $5,000. I will say this year, the sponsorships are a little slow. I feel like that the local businesses are pretty tapped out. I know as a business owner, I get requests all the time. Will you sponsor this? Will you sponsor that? People tend to think, I would say court of public opinion, is that Victorian Christmas is a town event. So I was going to ask you guys kindly if you would consider donating roughly 1/3 of the cost, $5,000. I will tell you, not only are small businesses tapped out, but inflation is definitely on the rise. This is my 3rd year. The first year, the carriages cost $2,000. This year, they're up to $3,500. I personally don't want to charge people to take carriage rides. I don't feel like that's the spirit of the event. So, street closure, can I use your room, and can I have some money? Puppy face.
That don't cut it with money. You know, I think that's, how many years is this? 30-some years?
The 34th year.
34th year, and they've always been able to self-fund themselves since then. They sold ornaments, they did all kinds of wacky things to
We're
draw
doing
money.
that. I personally was at Old Settlers and at street fairs trying to raise money. Seems maybe futile, but it doesn't deter me. I'm still trying, for sure. So, I mean, if you don't want to commit to that, then maybe I can keep at it for another month or so and table that issue, but it certainly would be beneficial.
We've kind of been looking over the costs that we have in this application. One of our department heads wants the use of hard movable barricades, and what that ends up doing is we put a truck with a leaf vac on the back of it, and we block the roads. Our Department of Public Works director pointed out to us that in order to do that, we also have to have a plan B, if you would, in case for some reason an ambulance or a fire truck or another type of emergency vehicle needs to get to the downtown area. What that ends up happening is we end up with a lot of overtime because his guys stay there on it, stay there with the trucks to do that. My thought process was going to be, can we do something different as far as those hard barriers? But I also noticed that Kerry's not here this evening, and he did put in here again use of hard movable barricades. So to say that it is a town event, it never has been, and I understand what you're saying there. But the town does invest in it. The town does. They do provide the barricades. They provide the refuse, the trash pickup, and so the town does invest in it some. I know that last year it kind of caught me off guard. They came up with the idea to decorate the poles, and I don't know if that is a fundraiser or how that what we did with that money.
That
But
is
it is
separate from
okay.
Victorian Christmas.
But it is separate from Victorian Christmas. Have you asked whoever that's separate with if they wanted to partner with you?
So I know last year that was Gina Shelby and Hallie from 5 East, and they started that fundraiser to help buy Christmas for local needy families.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many families they purchased Christmas for. I have not broached that with them this year.
Well, I hate being the Grinch, but I guess, is there any other comments from the council?
I think it's a shame that we have cash laying everywhere and can't do anything nice for the public. I've always felt that way. And I do think it is a Grinch move, but I am no longer going to be here after a month or two, so my opinion doesn't matter. But you can quote me on that in the paper, Lance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good event. It's good for the town. Where would we get it from would be my question. I mean, we talked earlier, there's a lot of people coming wanting money. Where do you draw the line? What do we do? Do we have an application process? Do we find out what events we do want to sponsor, not sponsor, help out? The senior center, the churches of mission, the Victorian Christmas. I'm for all that stuff, but, we need to figure out a plan on how we can fund it and do it and where it's coming from. I think we can. We do have money. You're right, Shane. I'd just like to know where it's gonna come from so we can look at it.
And we raise taxes every chance we get. I don't. This board has.
Josh?
Well, I see Tom's point and I see Jeff and Shane, so. However, I would like to contribute a little more. And I'm not opposed to giving some money,
What do you want to take it out?
but where we can get it from, that'd be my question.
Out on the boring budget stuff, I don't think you heard that at the beginning.
What were you asking for, like 5,000?
So 5,000 would be 1/3 of the cost. And there is definitely an increase that I've noticed this year. Another issue in the past, Matt has covered the trolley to go around town by doing vendor spaces. So they're not going to do that this year. So that's going to be a part of that cost to get people from the various locations. Just expenses are on the rise everywhere, everything. And Victorian Christmas feels it like everyone else.
What is your time frame of needing the money? Like what, another month or
December 2nd.
so maybe in another month? Then
Yeah, and maybe I'll have more sponsorships come in. I mean, we reach out to local businesses, and we've expanded, trying to think bigger, deeper pockets, if you will. And then maybe we'll have sold more vendor spaces, and I'll have a better idea. Maybe we only need 3,500. I just thought 1/3 seemed like a fair starting point.
because I mean it does cost for us to have our guys up there, but then also I mean it is a town event, so. I mean,
People just think that.
Right. I mean, it's, but I'm willing to help, so I would like to see if maybe she could come back in a month and then tell us where you're at, and if you still need $5,000, then we'll see what we can do, but I'm not opposed to donating something.
I've got one more thing, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Greg, go right
You're
ahead.
good. I just say I'm sure we can come up with something. I would think we could come up with something somewhere, and if you could work with your part, see what you could do.
I'm not asking for a Ferris wheel, okay?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Is this like a one-time this year, or is this something you're wanting going forward that we can
Oh,
plan for in the budget and
I
all
would love
that?
if you would give me money every year. I certainly would not object to that.
Right.
But this year, it seems I am really feeling kind of the stress financially for
Understand.
Victoria Christmas.
We received $2.5 million, 2.2 in ARPA, and then another 300,000 in COVID relief. We have tons of cash reserves. We have
Much as you're willing.
$550,000 in an account that we've charged businesses for permit fees. $550,000 sitting there doing nothing for taxpayers. It's unbelievable to me what we do.
Like maybe you guys can figure something out where to get a little bit.
You got a
for
motion?
Christmas.
Well, I think it should be put on the agenda as an agenda item.
It is on the agenda.
Well, the ask.
Well, she just
Technically, I
asked.
think it says street closure, so if I need to come back in a month.
Oh, it's not
fine.
included in your
Well,
presentation?
It's not on that paper.
Okay.
But I'm talking about it today, certainly, but if I need to come back, that's fine.
So you're just here for us to ask to look into it?
Well, I mean, if you give me money today, I will take money.
Well, that's why I asked if you had a motion.
Well, I don't make motions.
Yeah, right, right.
Do we want to act on the street closure first?
I'll make the motion, we approve the street closure for December.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we want to have her come back in a month, see what's going on? You guys can come up with funding, and we can go from there? Do we want to table that request? Do we want to ask for it as a formal request?
Let's get a formal request for the first weekend in November. I won't be here next meeting. Can you wait that long?
That's fine. I'm usually trying to collect money all the way up through like Thanksgiving, so.
So what, it'd be the first Tuesday in November.
Like election day.
Oh, it is, isn't it? But we usually meet on election day.
November 7th.
that the first Tuesday?
I mean, if we know we're gonna do it, we might as well do it and not put
Well, if
everything
you
on
wanna-
unfinished business. It's just where we're gonna take it from. Waste everybody's time.
We've got where do you think we should take it from? Cash reserves? Rainy day? It can come from,
Well, so,
it's gonna take an additional appropriation, correct?
depending on where you're taking it from, it could take an additional appropriation, and you don't have this one on the agenda. So
Yeah.
my recommendation is to get an action item on the agenda to consider this exact thing, then you can go back and look where those dollars would come from, and if it is an
You're
additional
okay with that?
appropriation.
Okay. Do we need to approve the meeting room, though? I don't want that to get lost.
I would like your blessing to use the meeting room downstairs,
Yeah, I don't want that to get lost. And then we can maybe table
money part.
and have you come back the first meeting in November.
Okay, the street closing is passed. Do you want to do the use of the building?
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Josh Gregg, 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for letting me go first, and I will see you in November.
Next item on the agenda is our public hearing and first reading of our 2024 budget. Paige, do you want to go over where we're at as far as levies and everything like that on this?
We do it all the time.
I know we do.
Yes, so just some notable items about your budget. First of all, your net assessed values for 2024 are going up by 5%. We've got the certified numbers, so that's good. Your net property tax levy, so your property tax minus the circuit breakers, are estimated to go up by 3.7%, which is about $143,000. Your property tax rate is expected to go down by 0.8%, 0.0051, so kind of flat, but it is going down a little bit. As far as your budgets are concerned, most of your budgets are pretty close to balanced, except for park operating is out of balance by about 59,000, and lit public safety is out of balance by 129,000. And just let me explain that. When I say out of balance, it means that the disbursements right now, as proposed, exceed the estimated annual receipts by those amounts. But the rest of your budgets are pretty close to balanced. Any questions from me? For me?
Know that the county has made some adjustments on the lit rate. Is that what's thrown us a little out of balance on that, or have you taken that into consideration?
I have not taken that into consideration at this point.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak about our budget? I think they are from HW. Going here, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second?
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Greg, Josh, 4-0. Now we will have our second reading. We will have our second reading at the next meeting. Paige, thank you very much. Next two items on the agenda. At our last meeting, our committee came back with a recommendation, and Shane, you had asked for an opportunity to meet with the other two companies. Wednesday morning, I called both companies and advised them of that request, and I thought both of them were going to be able to make it. However, Wednesday of last week, possibly Thursday, I can look, I got an email from Train wanting to know our time frame on wanting to meet with us. I did make an immediate phone call to try to find out what that was, And the guy was, he was adamant that when I called him and said, hey, I need you here next meeting, that he thought it was a suggestion and that he could get back with me on a time frame. I don't remember it that way. But they since then have sent a email that says that they will put their full team together and can be here at a later date. I had already called Amerisco and I gave them the exact same information, and I did not call them to say, hey, don't come. I'd asked them the exact same thing I'd asked Train. Now, Shane, did you and Jeff meet with Train?
A long time ago, yeah.
Briefly, yeah, one time.
Okay, so you know kind of what they're doing also. You know
That conversation was just to go around to the other buildings. They were hooked up with Dave Moore at that point. I think Dave took them around. We never did hear any input back on that.
Oh, okay. So Train is not here, but it was advised that they were not going to be here. So it's not that they're a no call, no show. But we do have the representatives from Amerisco. If you guys want to come up, introduce yourselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Hairbrandt. I'm a senior account executive with Ameresco. We're excited to be here today, and I'm passing out a presentation that was submitted to the committee that we reviewed back in August earlier this year. It's exactly the same presentation, other than I changed the date on it on there. I'd like to start off by introducing our team. My name is Mark Hairbrandt. I'm a senior account executive with Ameresco. I have been with them since the inception in 2004 when they came here. So I've been in the business for about 27 years here in the state of Indiana. My main focus has been on the local government market. You'll see if you go through our proposal that we have too, almost all of our projects, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well, but I'd like to be able to introduce our team on here. But we've done more type local government projects than probably anybody in the market. So, Brad or Garen?
Good evening. My name is Garen Evans. I'm our Senior Director for Development Engineering. I've worked with Mark for almost 17 and a half years now, so long time. I've been in the energy services and contracting business for over 30 years, and graduate of Rose-Hulman, so been around Indiana for a while. Probably done $200+ million worth of projects with this guy, so nice to meet you.
Brad?
My name is Brad Driver. I'm a senior project developer for Ameresco. Been here for over 14 years. I develop projects, design the projects, sometimes project manage the projects and commission the projects, just depending on the size of the projects that we have. Prior to coming to Ameresco 14 years ago, I heard the name Train. I was area service manager for Train for 11 years, working for the Train company. So, and then prior to that, I worked for Shambaugh & Son Contractors and Engineers for several years. So, anyway, thank you.
Landon Boehm with Baird. I'm a separate company, but serve in terms of advising financing aspects and procurement. We've worked for the town on its last couple of financings, so we've got direct experience underwriting town credit, and to the degree that financing or advice around financial resources of the town is involved, we're here to help.
If you turn to page 3, just a little bit about our company. I won't talk a lot about that as we'll get into some of the main information about what we do and some of the things that we saw in your buildings. But we are a leading design build, comprehensive, clean tech integrator, renewable asset developer, owner, and operator. We've got about 1,300 employees throughout the country, 60 offices throughout the country. I work out of the Indianapolis office over on the north side, where Brad and some others work as well. We're also a top 5 solar developer in the country, as well as #1 provider to the federal government doing this type of work on here. You mentioned when we had our discussion with the committee about using ARPA dollars, and have we had any experience? I'd say we probably have more experience than anybody. We've done several projects using ARPA. We've been through the whole procedure and understand the legal ramifications and the audit process and everything. We've already been through all of that. A lot of experience. One thing that I will tell you that's a clear differentiator between our company and why I think, too, that we're so successful in the market is we may be a big company, but we operate like a small company with that personal touch. But the other thing is that we have in-house grant writers. And I will argue with people that we have some of the best grant writers in the country. And it's proven because we just, on a project, we were the only company in Indiana to get a $5 million grant recently for a project that we're doing with the charter school down here. And actually throughout the country, there was what, how many total?
There was 1,000 applicants, and they selected 24 out of 1,000.
And we were 3 of them.
Amoresco had 3 offices throughout the country that was working with clients that was selected.
We understand it very well. We're good at trying to find money to help to offset some of the costs so we can get more work done on that. And then also, Garen will talk to you about what's a little bit about the infrastructure bill and some of that's coming through as well. But we have constructed over almost $15 billion worth of projects throughout our existence. If you turn to the next page, you'll see a graph with the state. We're members of just about every organization, the Association of Indiana Counties, the Sheriff's Association, AIM, the Association of Indiana County Commissioners as well. Been active for 24 years, over 50-plus projects. Some of the notable projects that you'll see a list, and there's a whole lot of projects that's listed in our submittal that we submitted in our request for proposals. But some of them that are local here that you may know is, and I'd encourage you to ask them, we've done 3 different phases over at the town of Plainfield, which is close. Johnson County is another one. We've done projects there as well. And also Hendricks County, we've done 3 different phases there. And then you'll see a map of kind of where we've kind of been. We're all over the state and have reference letters listed in our proposal that we delivered on every single one of the projects. I can't close out a project unless I have a reference letter on it. I'll have Garen talk a little bit about some of our unique ability and what we can do on the financing piece if you decide finance.
Mark mentioned we've got about 1,300 employees throughout North America, so we do a lot of different projects for different customers. The federal government, as you can imagine, is a different approach than state, local government. Higher ed, K through 12 schools, they all take advantage of the work that we provide. So a lot of work, and you may have heard of energy services performance contracting. We've done a lot of that in Indiana. There's legislation that makes that available for municipalities and for counties. A lot of our work has been based in that. There's a whole lot of different things here. I call it the alphabet soup because you can't help yourself but just make lots of acronyms here. But power purchase agreements for in places where we can install solar or renewable energy and just sell that power as opposed to the entity having to come up with the dollars up front. There's a lot of different ways. Public-private partnership is really applicable to what you guys are looking at here. The BOT model is, again, in Indiana legislation, it's under the public-private partnership. I'm going to let Landon speak a little bit to the more details about BOT and how that works for you all here in Indiana.
Thanks, Aaron. So we've seen a number of different procurement methods used in the past few years as BOTs become more prevalent. What started out as a P3 mechanism where the private side shares in the operating responsibility and certainly the construction responsibility before you actually take ownership has really morphed as we've gone through the last 3 years post-pandemic into a procurement driven method where the chase to get to a low bid quicker before inflation brings that tally further and further up on any project has won in a lot of cases. So the expediency of the BOT method itself has proven to be pretty resilient over the past 2 years. From a procurement standpoint, we can put a number of different options in front of the town as to how to go about procurement in a way that, as you set your objectives, balancing between overall cost, comfort with scope, select provider, all of that together in a way that really fits your needs best.
And then on the following page, there on page 7, our team is laid out. Now, you've met Landon with Baird, and you met the folks from Amoresco. RQAW is another one of our partners on our team. They're a well-known architectural engineering firm here, headquartered in Indianapolis. We've worked with them on several projects together, and on BOT projects in particular. So it really depends on where we go with the scope. If the project were to stay smaller, we discuss smaller magnitude and replacing HVAC equipment, things of that nature, we may not need a full set of engineering design drawings. However, the BOT methodology, that procurement, really does open a door to let you take a look at what do we really want to do with this facility? What are the upgrades that we need? What do we want? So we have pretty much A to Z resources on our team in terms of engineering and architecture, if that's needed for that matter. So it's a team that we've worked well together, and as Landon mentioned, in the last few years, this is becoming more and more, quite frankly, the methodology that we're going out and doing in terms of implementing projects. I'll let Brad speak a little bit to some of the observations when we did the walkthrough here at your facilities. I know you guys have a long meeting and a pretty lengthy agenda, but we can just kind of hit some of the highlights and let you open up for questions.
Yeah, so I was able to come out and walk the buildings with your facility director, Dave, I think was his name. Yeah, so, you guys have probably heard issues. You've probably seen your equipment. I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch of stuff. It sounds like you guys maybe train through and showed them some.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
We didn't.
Dave did, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of met
I
with
believe
them.
so.
But obviously, I spent some time walking through the town hall. I spent about four hours just kind of walking through the buildings. It was a mandatory walkthrough required as part of your RFQ process. And obviously this was a church at one time. It sounds like that you guys maybe converted this over to your town hall, and some of the equipment was replaced at that time. Some of it was existing. You've got a hot water system in the building. Some of the piping is obviously starting to deteriorate, probably lack of water treatment. So there were some pictures I put in there of just some leaks and things like that, and Dave was pointing that stuff out to us. Went over to your town courthouse. Some of the equipment over there it's more of a residential style of equipment. Some of it's been replaced. It looks like some of maybe the furnaces have been replaced versus the air conditioning units, the condensing units outside, maybe was okay, so they didn't replace that. So, there's an abandoned generator over there. There again, I don't know. I didn't see any of your buildings except maybe the fire station and the police station that maybe has backup generators, but everything else doesn't have a generator that's working right now. So really, I think the observations was, and I think we put this in our proposal when we submitted to your RFQ, is that, if we were selected, and I think you guys even asked for this, is that we would come through and do a complete study of all your facility equipment, just like you guys had asked for. We would detail everything out. We would give you an asset list of what kind of condition that is in. We would actually go through everything, putting instruments on it to be able to test what's really going on, to give you an idea of here's an assessment of my equipment, here's the condition of it, here's the age of it, here's what could last another 5 to 10 years, here's what maybe less than 5 years. And so you guys could then make a decision on what is it that really needs to be done with all this HVAC equipment, as well as some of the lighting throughout the facilities. So we would do that facility condition assessment, give you guys back a report, and let you make some decisions on it of what kind of project, if any, you would want to do that. So, Mark?
We'll open it up for questions, if that's all right. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I stressed is that in a lot of these projects, we do open book pricing, so we go out, we will handle that, we'll get the bids, it's fully transparent. put it in front of you. In the end, you have the option to pick and choose what type of equipment you guys want to put in it, and any local contractors that you want to get. And then finally, we are not tied to any equipment manufacturer at all. We always try to put the best equipment that we possibly can, especially given the fact of what the capabilities are of the maintenance staff. We see a variety throughout the state, but we want to make sure that anybody can work on this, and you can go buy parts wherever you need.
So you've done nothing yet on any sort of estimates or anything like that? You've done nothing on any sort of estimates on money or anything like that on what it costs? You've just...
We had some ranges inside our RFQ that we turned back into you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that was, but we had listed some possibilities depending on, again, what type of equipment, how much equipment that you guys would want to replace, or so I'm trying to scramble for that right now, but we gave you guys possible range.
The other thing too is we really didn't get a chance to look at the wastewater treatment plant. We believe that there's some opportunity there for some efficiencies that we could look at on there, and bring you some options on what those savings may be to help to offset any types of costs that would be associated. But we'd really start with a blank sheet of paper, go through everything, because 4 hours just isn't enough to get the details that you need. But we wanted to make sure we followed all the requirements of the request for qualifications, and we did that and evaluated. One thing that I think that Brad brought up was we've got a lot of piping in here, and I was here that day, and I'm a chemical engineer. I do a lot of water treatment. That's one of the businesses that I'm in. There could be some issues here that need to be addressed, whether it's electrolysis, whether it's lack of chemical treatment in the piping that could be causing some of the premature corrosion that you're experiencing in that.
Can you explain that process, just a quick overview? What would happen if you transfer from or switch from the boiler system to, I mean, does it require all new ductwork and everything with it?
You know, the first thing that we would do is we always provide options. So there's several different types of systems that's out there. I always like to give our customers options of what the types of systems, the pros, the cons, the cost, what the operating cost is, how hard it is to get, how much more expensive a maintenance contract could be with a certain system. We lay that all out for you so that you can make good, solid decisions, is how we go about doing it.
A range that we had put in our proposal that we submitted to you guys was, you know, if you guys were just looking based on the facilities that we walked through. I mean, the police station is almost brand new, right? You guys did something done a few years ago. So that, you know, excluding that, but I mean, looking at some of your equipment throughout the building, I mean, you could probably see a range between $500,000 and $750,000. Right? So that was submitted in your proposal, or your RFQ that you got.
That's pretty much town-wide, this building.
So it was this building, wastewater treatment, the building across the street. The information that was provided to me during the walkthrough was you guys are up in the air about what that building is going to, whether it's going to stay or not. That was information that was provided to me. But we did look at the equipment over there. We looked at the lighting, and so really that number right there was really just some HVAC equipment.
Yeah.
And so there was, you know, the parts department. You know, they didn't have a lot of equipment out there, but they've got a couple systems, a couple different systems out the wastewater treatment plant. We were able to get into all the buildings that particular day, so they put my eyes on everything. And then the fire station had a few systems. I think the fire chief had mentioned to us that somebody has told him that something is possibly not sized right over there. So there again, as if we were selected, we would go through and do a study of that, try to understand what that comment was. You know, we could identify what's happening to equipment and do some calculations and see what's going on. So
Do the utility companies help you? Like, we replace these lights with LEDs. Do they assist you with the cost of
Some
that?
it depends on if they still have money in their incentives. It depends on if you guys are paying into that incentive program, because that's a misconception, right? If people have opted out, so that you get a little bit lower bill on a rider, right? That's a rider that's on your bill. So we have to do an analysis of your utilities, and we would, and to kind of see what's going on. If Duke has some opportunities still available, we would certainly take them up on that.
That's one of the first things that we do, is we try to gather all your utilities, to do a detailed utility analysis, try to understand, are you on the right rate on there? Are there opportunities on there? What rebates are available on any types of equipment that are out there that we might be able to put in there, so we can maximize what we get to help to offset any costs that you have.
Are there always grants available for this kind of thing, or is it?
Not always. I mean, they depend on how they come and go, but, with us having our ear to the trail, that, we're kind of always understanding what's coming about, what's out there, and there's all kinds of different things. So it's just, the one that Mark was referring to was part of the Renew America Schools. So that was more of a schools grant, that went to 24 schools throughout the country.
One last question, and then I'll yield, or whatever you want to call it. So I noticed, just glancing through this, there was a lot of equipment referred to as residential. Is that a major problem, do you think, in your estimation here, that we don't have, or is it an efficiency problem?
It's not a problem. It depends on how you're using that. Think about, how you guys are operating your facilities, right? Are they at 9 to 5 or 7:30 to 5, something like that? Is the equipment being used during that time compared to your home residential system, right? So sometimes a residential system used in a light commercial, because all your buildings, I would say, are typically a light commercial to a commercial. So there could be if you're having breakdowns, it's more of you need a piece of equipment that's serving the need of what it's being asked to do, right? So also ventilation air coming in, fresh air coming in, so when you've got employees there, that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. Is are we bringing in the proper amount of minimum outside air per code? So those are things that we would look at during this study as well, and let you know about that.
Thank you.
Did that help?
Yeah, I just have questions after.
Sure.
I like to ask questions.
Did you guys walk through the street department? Was that on?
No, that wasn't
That
on.
wasn't on the list. No.
But we can.
We will add that to it.
Okay.
I asked both companies, even though the police department is fairly new, I still want them to look at it and evaluate it and make sure that it was the right decision at the time, the system that went in there. Now, I also stated that if you would kind of cover the legal opinion that you will get for us for any audits that come.
One of the things that I'm actually a county commissioner in Hamilton County, and for the last 10 years. And one of the things with this ARPA, I know that I was a little afraid, coming from the federal government, how that audit was going to go through. So one of the things that I advise our clients when we're using ARPA dollars is to get a legal opinion, too, about how those dollars are used, because there's a lot of restrictions on the American Rescue Plan Act dollars that are used. We've already been through several audits already. We kind of know what those audits, what they're asking. I will tell you that the legal opinion, and having a legal opinion saying that, yeah, that's a good use for these funds based on what the federal government has told you to do, makes the auditor or the clerk or anybody that's handling the finances feel a lot better. And I will tell you that the auditors that have from federal government have said, I really like that you guys got a legal opinion to that.
You provide that to us.
Yeah, we'll provide that opinion.
Again, to make sure that I did not misquote you, the first part of it, the walkthrough, the engineering, hey, here's the list, that is all at risk.
Yes, it's all at risk. That's correct.
Yeah, once we were selected, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be at
Yeah.
Arborist.
Jeff, do you have any questions?
No, I answered all my questions, yeah.
Shane, surely to goodness you've got more questions.
I've got no more questions.
If you do, our numbers are in the back of there. My cell phone's in there. Please, feel free to call. We're here to help, and we really appreciate the opportunity to work with you folks. And I can assure you we'll do a great job for you. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, thank you.
We'll wait till they leave before we start talking bad about them. Jeff, I think you asked me at the meeting, what was one of the deciding factors. And that level of comfort that they have with their, let's look at it as a holistic thing. Let me bring back to you what we recommend. They were the first ones in 20-some years that said, hey, let's look at this generator over here. That, we haven't used that. I think the last time that was fired up was when the police station was still there.
Right.
They did talk about, why do you have two facilities, and only two facilities, or three facilities, I guess, with the wastewater treatment plant that have backup generators. And it was just kind of that outside of the box thing that we didn't ask for. They're not saying, hey, you got to buy this, but they did say, hey, let's look at this. Again, like I said before, the other company is more than qualified, but it was just that kind of outside of the box thing that we hadn't thought of as a committee. So there's, it's nice that they were able to come in and take a look at this. Train did say, I did look, Train said that they could be at our first meeting in November. It's up to you guys, what you guys want to do. I still haven't wavered from my opinion of who the best company is. We can move on to Resolution 27 of our comp plan. Will you help me walk through this? We actually have Adam here from HWC.
Good evening. I think you've seen me a couple times at this point, but yeah, Adam Pieper, Community Planner at HWC Engineering, have been working on both the comprehensive plan and thoroughfare plan since about the middle of last year, so it's been the better part of 16 months. Really, there was kind of a 10-month more concentrated effort there in terms of working with the steering committee and through various community outreach efforts. I'm happy to go into as much or as little detail about our process and the documents and the changes that we made from the May drafts, and we were before you all as well as the Plan Commission, I believe, in May and June. But I'll just say, big picture, this was facilitated through a project steering committee that met 5 times. We had a community workshop at the high school, open house at the library, online surveys that corresponded to both of those in-person meetings, a number of additional stakeholder meetings, a couple of presentations to you all and the Plan Commission as well, and then had a public hearing in front of the Plan Commission last month on the 14th for each of the documents. Like I said, made a number of changes from the drafts that were shared in May and sent a document that kind of tracked those along as well. So I'm happy to go through those in more detail or address specific questions you may have about them. Also know you have other things on the agenda, so defer to you.
Jeff, anything? Shane?
Real quickly, I saw the correction. You were able to make the correction I sent to you today.
Yes. we
Just the
had-
misspelling
Yeah,
of
we
a
had-
planning commissioner's name.
Yes.
Okay. You took out all the references to any subdivision that I own, correct?
Yep.
That's not in there?
We, there was a subdivision that was made specific reference to, and then that was removed. The photo was changed, and the caption was made more general. There was also a commercial strip center that was mentioned by name, and that reference was made more general as well.
Okay. Lastly, Jewel, this question for you. I don't think it makes any difference. There are pictures of buildings that I own in the comp plan because
That's what they selected.
somebody selected them through the process, and
Yeah, I mean, we took a number of photos at a couple different points in the process. Some of them are, downtown streetscape photos.
the buildings were built 75 years before I was born, or maybe 100 years, depending on
So
when.
is your question whether or not you should abstain from this because of that?
Yeah.
No, I don't see that as a reason to abstain. It's
Okay.
just diagrams and photos that are in the plan.
Okay, I think everything's clear of anything that I own or anything except for the pictures of the buildings, so. Okay, that's all I had.
Josh?
No, there was some changes that need to be made, and you brought into our meeting last month, planning, what was this month? Oh, last month. And, they addressed them, and I have no further questions.
Barry? You talked to me on the phone, and I appreciate that. All my little sticky notes can go away now. Appreciate that very much. The public hearing for this is done by the planning commission. This is not a public hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then, so what we,
I think they had their public hearing.
yes, they
Yes.
did have, they had it, and it even shows the vote on in the resolution. Gentlemen, I need a motion to approve the comprehensive plan by approving resolution number 27, 2023.
One more question. Was the
Yep.
planning commission vote unanimous?
It was favorable, yes.
Yes.
Favorable
It was a
recommendation.
unanimous.
It was 4-0.
Yeah.
There were 4 commissioners at the
Quorum.
meeting.
It was a full quorum.
It was a
the
full
entire.
quorum, yeah.
Okay, sorry, Tom. That's all.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Seconds.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Next is the resolution 28, approving the thoroughfare plan.
Motion we approve resolution 28, 2023.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, Josh, 5-0. I appreciate working with you. I thank you very much, and
Thank you, gentlemen.
we'll see you in another 35 years.
Hope so.
Next item on the agenda is the public hearing for the confirmatory resolution, Resolution 24, 2023. This is on the Advanced Arrow real property purchase. I know that Mike said he could not be here, but there may be a representative here. There we go.
Reed here. And yeah, we put in for a piece of equipment, missed out on a few, but wanted to try to get this matter in place.
You've already done the declaratory.
Yes, we've already done that, but it does say that this is a public hearing, correct? I was just trying to find it.
Yeah. It's a public hearing on this.
Yes. Besides you, is there anyone here that wants to speak on behalf of either for or against this resolution approving a tax abatement, approving it as a economic redevelopment area, and therefore allowing us to give them a tax abatement? I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make the motion to close the public hearing?
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Josh, Jeff, 5-0. Now, we do need to approve the resolution, correct? Okay, now I need a motion to approve the confirmatory resolution 24-2023.
Make the motion, we approve resolution 24-2023?
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Let me say this. There's always been a business there that's been a very good partner to the town of Mooresville. We appreciate what you do. We appreciate the jobs you create for our community. We hope that we can do anything that we can to help you grow in this community.
Hope once we're cleaned up down there, I can purchase and we can continue on bigger and better things.
There you go. Thank you
all
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. On this here, first reading for the David Lane for the annexation.
This is the public hearing for it.
Okay.
So you have the public hearing, then Baker Tilly has already said they'll have us the
Fiscal impact.
fiscal impact study by the middle of next week. So under the statute, you cannot adopt the ordinance itself until 14 days after the public hearing. So it'll be at your next meeting. Public hearing on this.
Council, did you hear what he was saying? Jeff?
No.
I couldn't.
This is a public hearing on the annexation.
Yeah.
And Baker Tilly still has to do the fiscal impact study. We can't take action on this. It's not like we can waive the
Okay.
process. This is a public hearing.
Yeah, the
Is there-
statute specifically requires there to be a 14-day period between the public hearing and then the
Okay.
action on the ordinance.
Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak either for or against the annexation of 10073 David Lane? There being no one, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Greg, 5-0.
I'm trying to give you a second.
Hey,
And so for the two of you, the final action will be in 2 weeks because the statute makes you wait that time. So I've been having phone tag with the people in Evansville because they've been asking some questions, but it's still moving on track.
okay, the declaratory resolution. I don't think. This. This is on the spec building that they're building in there. Flagstaff. Okay. Before us, we do have the declaratory resolution. It is creating the economic revitalization area. This is in Flagstaff. This is what Mike approached us about at our last meeting in regards to the spec building going in Lot 8 in our Flagstaff Industrial Park. Are there any questions from the council? We will have our public hearing at our next meeting. Approve that, correct?
You do need to approve this because this is the declaratory resolution.
I do need a motion to approve the declaratory resolution.
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Jeff, Greg, 5-0. Do we need to sign that? Send it. I Jeff, you did say the digital voice quotes, we were pulling that for today.
I did. I met with Steve Elsroth today in reference to this. He came to last meeting with the iRecord. He's still working, excuse me, with Chief Buckner on this and also looking at funding options with the prosecutor where they would help offset some of those costs. So he requested to be taken off the agenda tonight.
And he will put it back on, or do we just need to?
No, he will. I'll make sure he puts it back on when he's ready.
Okay, Victorian Christmas, we did that. Department head reports. Do we have any department heads here? We have two.
Good evening. Since last council meeting, I did send off our conditional offer candidate to as physicals and stuff. Both doctors on with his testing did give recommendation of good recommendation for a conditional offer. I just asked the council if we can go ahead and move forward with that conditional offer.
Thoughts or comments from the council?
So we have it back in writing from the perf that he is accepted?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That was pretty quick.
That's the fastest one I've seen. How'd you do it?
It's Hendricks County Hospital. We're not using public safety medical.
There's that. I don't know if you have that there. Is that acceptable with perf?
Yes. If you remember back in 2020, we were looking at public safety medical, St. Francis Hospital here in town, and Hendricks County. And Hendricks County came back with the lower end on pricing. Our pension board basically approved them for our physicals and evaluations and stuff like that through them.
I'm confused on the process. I thought we went to perf and perf signs off on it. And then once their board signs off on it, then they send it to our local pension board to approve after all the doctors from perf sign it. But if we're sending them to Hendricks County,
It's the other way around. Our pension, after we go to the doctors and get all the testing done, the paperwork comes back to the pension board, the local pension board.
Right.
Local pension board meets, votes on it.
And then you take it back to
and then we take it back to
perf,
the
and then
perf, and then their doctors look at it and review it and stuff like that.
So we need to wait until perf approves it.
With him being a lateral, the state does not require, because he's already in the 77 pension, so the state does not require us, the local pension board, to meet. It's just basically a lateral transfer from one agency to another agency.
It don't require, but they still meet, right?
I'm sorry? The local pension board?
Right.
No. From my understanding with Deputy Clerk Motts, that's what we found out with talking to the pension, the 77 pension, perf.
Can the pension, can perf still kick it back and say no? Or is it, once he's in, he's in?
Once he's in, he's in. My understanding, is that correct?
Unless he's been separated for 180 days.
180 days.
He hasn't. They don't even want his paperwork. There's just a lateral transfer form that if he is approved at the local level and you're requiring the physical, that's just a local thing. They don't need copies of it. Once he's approved here locally that we're going to accept him, there's a lateral transfer form that is filled out, Matt signs it, Diane signs it, that is sent to her, and then they said they'd like to have 2 weeks to process that, which basically means they've got to make the change in their system, we enroll him, and then once they hit their part, then I can go in and enter his higher date and then this for us. So they said it doesn't have to be 2 weeks, but they would like to have 2 weeks from the time they receive that form.
Jeff, how'd they do it when you lateraled? I mean, have things changed?
Up there, they've changed since I went through, yeah. But
Okay.
you know, that's news to me. I didn't know that. So that's how, I mean, answers the question how it got done so fast. You didn't have to go through them.
Yeah, we don't have to go through a local pension.
So they're saying that we give them 2 weeks before we start working them.
They're asking us to, yeah, but once we submit that form, to wait 2 weeks before he starts, if at all possible.
You have that date?
I don't have my phone on me, I'm sorry, I do not.
Well, we haven't sent them
It's not been sent in yet.
until you guys.
And that says hand delivered. You'll drive it up and hand deliver it? Or is that what you do?
No, my understanding is she just gets on the website and then programs it into that site, correct?
How do you submit it?
The submitting of the transfer.
I think you fax it to them. I think that's what we've always done before.
I thought you put them in on the computer. I've never done that
I
portion of it.
enroll him online for the transfer form. I think you just fax it to them. And then, they will tell us to enroll him.
The question is, I assume, to this council is, do we tell him to not hire this person, to hire this person and start him whenever he wants to, or to hire this person and start him in a 2-week window that PERF has asked for?
I make a motion, we hire this employee, pending the approval of our clerk with the 2-week window to be in compliance with PERF.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I have nothing further.
And you understand what he said? You
Yes.
understand that motion completely?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have nothing further unless you got questions. Thank you.
Chief, one more thing. He's still working part-time for us, correct? So he's done with his full-time employment down there?
I believe so, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. I guess give him as many hours until, you know, don't go over the threshold of the part-time.
Correct.
You know, to help offset that. I know he's quit his job and waiting on us, so.
Right.
We don't want to put him in too big of a bind. All right.
Now, wait a minute. Every time Phil comes up here, he asks for money.
I know. Send his little minion to do his dirty work.
Try to be better than him.
I think I will be.
Okay.
I think I will be. So, Phil's out tonight, so he asked that I come. Just give you guys a couple updates on what we have going at the park. First is Old Town Park Playgrounds. We're finalizing that proposal. Hopefully it was going to be in today. It is not. So we should have that ready for you by the next town council meeting. Just some programming stuff we have going on at the park. Our hay rides have started. Most of those time slots are full. We will be doing our kind of public hay rides at our Halloween hike, which will be Saturday, October 28th, 3 to 5 p.m. at Pioneer Park. Everyone is welcome to attend that. Along those lines, obviously not telling you how to do your jobs, but May would recommend that you guys set some trick-or-treating hours or think about that coming up, just with the hike being on a Saturday. Traditionally, that kind of in trick-or-treating, so just may want to think about that as we move October. But no ask for money this time.
There you go. I like you better than Phil. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I don't think we have any other department heads here. Legal counsel?
The only thing I have is recently the consortium regarding the opioids has sent out another correspondence wanting you to consider an additional action. I haven't had time to really research it yet, so I'm not prepared to make a recommendation to this council as to the viability of it. But other than that, nothing further.
Public comments? Motion for approval of payment of claims.
$42,235.91.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payroll clearing in the amount of $246,369.64.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Craig, Josh, 5-0. Town council comments. Jeffrey?
I have none.
Dane?
Glad to see Lance get in and the Morgan County correspondent present at meetings again. Well, the new newspaper. We went without reporters for a long time, so I think it's good for transparency in the public to have a reporting paper again.
And you can quote him on that.
You can quote me on that.
Josh?
Done.
I like your paper too. Very nice.
Again, let's keep the Kearns family in our prayers and thoughts. Our next meeting date will be Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. You guys want to do it at 6:30? I don't think we fall back or spring forward in this time. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Craig Shane, 5-0. Hey,